Hey everyone, Ryan Young, Kama Jiu-Jitsu. I hope you're doing well. So this is part B, or part 2 of a 2-part video. First part, you might want to watch it, you can click right here. And that one is, you're a black belt, now what? Now this next one, you don't necessarily need to be a black belt because you could actually be a lower ranked belt and still take advantage of this program. One of the things that you would think about becoming a black belt is which path are you going to take? Are you just going to be continuing to train just as a regular attendee of class and just have fun like all the lower belts do, but you're going to do it as a black belt? Another option would be to begin doing the instructor training program, start to contribute. The other would be to just go ahead and find other mountains to climb, right? Non-jiu-jitsu mountains to climb. So this one we're going to be concentrating on the second option. The second option is you decide you want to start teaching. Now here's the thing, most people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, who teach jiu-jitsu kind of fell into it. They didn't do it because they wanted to do it. They did it because they kind of ended up doing it and realized they actually kind of like it. Because it's pretty fulfilling. It's a very fulfilling thing. Now I know why people go into the teaching field. Right, I come from the financial services sector, and in particular I was a securities analyst, worked at a few hedge funds, and one of the things that we had a saying was that if you can't do, you teach. And because a lot of college professors, for instance, they'd be the ones teaching the MBA and the PhD programs and stuff, and they really couldn't make money in the markets, so what they would do is they would teach financial theory to people who could make money. And this is I just laughed about it because when I was in college at University of Hawaii and I was getting my bachelor's in finance, one of my instructors was on summer break. I guess he had taken a sabbatical. He was at Stanford University. So he's a Stanford PhD, Stanford MBA, or Stanford Business School PhD, and he taught the students in the MBA program. So he thought he would take a little sabbatical, come to Hawaii and teach. So that's what he did. So it was international finance. So it had to do with currencies and commodities markets and all this kind of stuff, how product moves back and forth over borders and the way the money goes and all that kind of stuff, which is stuff that I was interested in. So he was teaching about the commodities markets. And I'm listening, this is the very first day, and I'm listening to the lecture and I'm looking at it, I'm kind of flipping through the pages of the book, the part that we were in right then that matched the lecture. And then he was talking about trading the markets. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. So I raised my hand and I just asked questions, right? I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I was very appreciative to have a Stanford University professor, finance professor in the University of Hawaii teaching us, right? And Stanford is one of the cream of the crop schools when it comes to basically anything, including business. So after class was over, I walked up to him, after everybody left. And I just thought, this might be a long conversation. So I let everybody leave, and I didn't have a class right after. So I stopped and I told him, Professor, whatever your name is, I said, as far as the commodities markets, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually done this way, and the orders are done this way, and whatever he was talking about, it was not correct. So I thought I'd just kind of clarify because, he's a professor. He should know. And he says, why is that? And he goes, how was that? And he goes, how do you know this? And I said, because I lost my ass trading mini T-bond futures, doing exactly what you were talking about. I said, but it didn't happen that way. It happened this way. So he asked me a few questions. He asked me this. I told him the answer. He asked me that. I told him the answer. And after about 10 minutes, he looks at me and he tells me, what you know is already beyond the scope of this class. He says, that's the funniest thing. He goes, you have an A. And I said, wait a minute, we just had one day. He says, yeah, you have an A. I mean, you've aced this class. He says, you don't even have to take the final. And I said, seriously? He says, yeah. But, I genuinely wanted to learn. So I said, are you kicking me out of class? He says, no. He goes, you come to class if you want, but you have an A in this class. And I said, okay. So, because he really didn't know this stuff. And it was kind of fascinating to him. And the way I learned it was I played the markets and I lost. I lost a bunch. Made a bunch, but that particular thing he was talking about, I had lost because that was bonds. But anyway, it kind of made me think about how, he had never played the markets before, but yet here he is, he's teaching about the markets. So you have a lot of people that teach jiu-jitsu, but don't really know jiu-jitsu. You know, they're not any good, and I hate to put it that way, but they don't know anything. They don't have any understanding of jiu-jitsu, but yet they're teaching only because they just kind of got put into that situation. So what I'd like to do is kind of point you in a direction. And what is this direction? Anything that you want to be good at, you need to seek an instructor. You just can't bump around and figure it out. Maybe you can, but it's going to take you a whole lot longer than if you had just simply sought out instruction on doing it. So here's what I'm telling you. If you decide once you get a black belt that you want to share the art and you want to spread the art and you want to help your fellow jiu-jitsu practitioner, help them as a black belt and as their instructor, you need to seek out an instructor training program to teach you how to teach. Now, not some guy who never went through one or wasn't really a good instructor, but happens to be your instructor, and you happen to do a lot of your learning outside of class and your own self-study. Perhaps he's not the one to teach you. You know more than your instructor. You understand more of the theories and the philosophies, but your instructor doesn't know a lot of stuff that you do. So do you go back to that person? I wouldn't. The first time I ever really heard about an instructor training program was when I was training at Gracie Torrance, Jorge Gracie's academy. Many of you know it now as Gracie University because he's passed it on to his sons. And he had an instructor training program. And the one thing I realized about it was that it costs money. It wasn't cheap. And you started as a blue belt, and instead of it being, what do we pay? Maybe $200 a month for tuition, it was $400 a month. And I just thought, you're paying $400 a month and all you're doing is just teaching classes for Horian. But the thing is, I never really inquired about it, never asked Horian what it was about. I mean, I knew the title was pretty self-explanatory, right? But now you see all the videos with Hiron and Henner talking about their instructor training program, and they have instructors or people who run certified academies or whatever they call them, garages or certified training, CTCs, that's what it is. And they come over and they do like a 3-day seminar or something, and they learn how to teach, and they pass that one seminar and then they're teachers. Yeah. It's not as easy as that either. I would love to be able to say that I can teach my instructors how to teach in 3 days. It's a 2-year process, and that's what it originally was with Elio Gracie, if I'm not mistaken. It was a 2-year process that you had to be there and be at the foot of the master, right, and learn how to teach. And he's telling you, this is what you do here, this is what you do there, this is what you're looking for. People do this, people do that, and you need to teach the curriculum in this order, all that type of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that a good instructor training program will have. And that's what we have at Kama Jiu-Jitsu. And when we first went through this, when Dave and I kind of put it together, it was a program that we thought to ourselves, wait a minute, we need to make sure that we have the future of Kama Jiu-Jitsu set up. And the only way to do that is you actually have to, if you want to make sure you have a consistent product and service, you need to make sure you have consistency in teaching. And to have consistency in teaching, you need to make sure that your teachers have all the knowledge they have in the curriculum as well as in the actual art itself to be able to replicate what you've done as the instructor. Okay, so what we did was we created the instructor training program, and the goal of it was to be able to create more Kama Jiu-Jitsu instructors. So right now, the black belts that we have in teaching are Dave Kama, Fernando Costa, and myself, 3 black belts that teach at Kama Jiu-Jitsu. And we just promoted our first black belt since I got my black belt. So 2012 was me, and then the next one after me is Professor Zach Womack, who is at our Flower Mound campus. And he got his, I want to say, May of 2021. So it's 9 years, a little over 9 years for us to create the next one. So this is with an active instructor training program going. But we do have a lot more that are on the bench and that are next up. So for instance, I've got 3 brown belts in Texas, 3 brown belts in Texas, and I've got 1 brown belt in California that are all on the path to becoming black belts, and all of them, every single one, when they become black belts, they will be straight up Kama Jiu-Jitsu professors. So they will have their red bar with the white bars on the top and the bottom of their belt, just like what Zach was. And the reason is because they've been instructors at Kama Jiu-Jitsu for many years now, more than 2 years. So a typical black belt that's entering an instructor training program here at Kama Jiu-Jitsu will be 2 years. And in fact, we have one black belt who is about 6 months, oh no, actually 9 months into his stint on the instructor training program. And so he's got about 1.25 years, and he will be a full black belt professor. So by doing this, though, they're going through an intensive training program on how to teach, how to deal with people. You know, you have to know simple things such as what type of learner are you dealing with at the moment. You know, is this person learn with their eyes? You know, a visual learner? Do they learn with their ears, meaning you tell them what to do and they do it? You know, so that would make them an auditory learner. Or do you have to tell them, you have to talk to them in terms like, okay, you feel this? Okay, you feel that? Okay, no, let's move your hand here. Let's put your leg here. Give me your knee. Pull it. Okay, bring it. You know, how do you feel that? You know, that's a kinesthetic learner. So one who learns by feel and by touch. And a good instructor can teach to all 3 types. But it takes practice, and it takes a good understanding of how to structure a class, how to teach a lesson, how to deal with repetition, how to create repetition, how to do the correct amount of repetition, and all this kind of stuff. It's very involved, and it takes a lot of practice. In addition to overcoming your nervousness, for instance. So a lot of people, they're very good teachers, and they're very good in the sense that you wouldn't know that they don't know anything, but they're good in that you really don't know that they don't know anything, right? So our instructor training program is structured so that there's regular interaction with the professors for the non-professor students. And that's why Dave spends a lot of time coming to Texas, because he has his California campus and he has his 2 in Texas. He flies out to the one in Texas. He teaches class there. He helps the instructor there. He then drives up to the Dallas campus, and he teaches a class here, and he does the instructor training on Sunday to make sure that we know we're up on the latest concepts that he wants us to go over and how to do it if he's made changes. Also to have our instructors practice in front of the professors on how to do the Kama Jiu-Jitsu concepts that we want sent over to or brought into the academies. So a good instructor training program will teach your instructors how to do that so that they can be the next professor and a legitimate professor, one that teaches well and can create with a consistency, create new blue belts, purple belts, brown, black belts, and run their school so that all the schools are run a certain way. So it doesn't matter whether you go to a Kama Jiu-Jitsu studio in Anchorage, Alaska, or one in Poland, or one in Abu Dhabi, wherever our schools may be, it's all the same, where you have a common way to do it. Now, granted, you're going to have individuals who run it, but at the same time, they're all going to be trained the same way. You know, that's not a very easy task to do. So that's where our Kama Jiu-Jitsu Online comes in that we have the curriculum all down for white to blue and then from blue to purple, so people can see how it's done. You can see the same videos. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can see it. But for those who want to get into instructor training program, that's kind of a new challenge that we're trying to figure out now, because when we're in studio, it's easy to control it and control the quality, make sure that your instructors are doing the things you want them to do consistently when you watch them teach. You have them run their own classes, and you see, you know, what their students that attend those class times, what they learn. Or if those students attend multiple instructors' classes over the given week, that they're learning this with the same quality every time they step onto the mat. That's a very hard process that we've learned firsthand. Just like with people who train, you're going to have some that are really, really good, and you're going to have the rest, right? It happens even with black belts. I remember asking Dave about the black belts. He says, well, you have, you know, the elite black belts, which would be the top 10%. You have Hickson, who's like the top of that top, and then you have everybody else. You know, all black belts, but just, you know, varying levels of ability. And the same thing happens with teachers too. So our goal is to make it so that our teachers have the best shot at being in that top 10% of people that teach Jiu-Jitsu. And I think for the most part, we've largely succeeded because all of our instructors are knowledgeable in teaching, getting the ideas across, and they're very knowledgeable in the curriculum that they are responsible for up to that point. We also try to make it to where there's always, as much as we can, you always have a supervisor instructor that's there to help them. Otherwise, if you're not able to have an instructor there, a professor there, then it'll be an open mat. So, but we also do try to have somebody who's in an instructor training program run the open mat. But as far as having a higher level instructor there, that's always what we hope for. But nobody in our academy does jiu-jitsu full time. They all do it part time. They volunteer their time. They've all got jobs and families and all that kind of stuff. So we don't really expect somebody to be there full time because we're not structured as a full time academy yet. At some point in time maybe we will, but right now we're not. So for those of you who are looking to teach, seek out a program that actually has formal instruction on instruction. One that teaches you how to teach, because that's a different art in and of itself. It's not just simply, here you're a purple belt now, go ahead and start teaching these classes. It's like, without any guidance. And even, at the end of the class, the instructor pulls you aside, says, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, or do you know how John was doing this? Yeah, you notice that, can you figure out what kind of learner he is? No. Well, okay, John is a kinesthetic learner, which means that you need to actually go there and move him to get him to learn it. If you just tell him and you show him, he's not going to necessarily know how to do it. But if you move him around and you tell him, feel this, feel that, feel this, feel that, then he's going to skyrocket. But you need to figure that out, right? So all this kind of stuff comes in an instructor training program, and a good one at that. And just realize that it doesn't come after just 3 days or even a week at a seminar. There's no way, because you don't have the guidance that you would need as well. I mean, that's just like, me trying to just teach you some stuff in jiu-jitsu on my mat. You come for a 1 week training session and I teach you over a week and say, okay, there you go. Now you do jiu-jitsu now. It doesn't work that way. I mean, we can do for a week, but we might have to do several weeks periodically. So make sure that whatever program you're in, it's something that allows you periodic refreshment of your skills. So hopefully that kind of gave you an idea of what you can look forward to. And for those of you who are looking to teach the way we do at KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu, we are kind of putting things together on our website. We are setting things up so that you have schools that are school owners that set up as members on our website as academy owners, and then they have their own students who would also set up on our website under their umbrella. And now we know they've been highlighted as schools. And it doesn't matter what belt you are in this case. You could be a blue belt. And we can then get together and work on how do we train you to teach. And teach you to teach, right? That's something that's kind of down the road. I mean, we do have our affiliate member program where if you run an academy, you can pay KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu an affiliate fee. And then there's 2 different fees, just depending on what type of level service you want. And that does give you access. You can come into the studio whenever you want. At the same time, that does get one of our instructors out to you once a year free of charge to teach some classes for you, as well as teach you on the KAATARO Jiu-Jitsu way that we do it. So that's just if you're kind of afar. But if you're local, obviously our instructors are all in-house here. But those just some ideas for you to pursue, whether you want us to help you or you have an idea of where you want to go. But if you're going to be an instructor, make yourself the best instructor you can possibly be. Don't be a half instructor. Make sure that you teach your students really well. Make sure that you are diligent and make sure you follow them and follow their progress to make sure that they're the best that they can be. Because at the end of the day, how good your students become is going to be a reflection on you. And I don't know how you are about your reputation, but we really take ours seriously. We really want to make sure that we do as good a job as we possibly can, and that we put all the resources that we can toward making ourselves be the best that we can be, and our instructors as well. Because if we can turn out a good product, then our students will be as spectacular as they can be. My goal is not to create world champions, for instance. My goal is to make you be your best, whatever level that is, right? Let's say your level can only take you as high as blue belt. That's fine. I want you to be the highest level that you yourself can get to. I want you to be able to take advantage of your best. And the only way that you can really do that is to have great instruction. Anyway, for those of you who found this conversation interesting, visit us online, KAATARO.online.com, or check your what do you call it, your Play Store for our mobile app, or also we should be on the Apple App Store by now, Kama Jiu-Jitsu. You can also come visit us at one of our 3 studios. We have our California campus in Irvine, California. We have our main campus in Flower Mound, Texas, and we have our Austin, Texas campus as well. All 3 of them. Come by and visit us if you'd like to join us. We'd love to have you. Take care. Happy training. Bye now.